Struggling with how you're treated in the marriage? Well, you have 3 surprising strengths that you didn't know you had. From Dr. Deb. Hey, I'm Dr. Deb. Welcome again to our playlist. We have the secret to healing crappy marriages. And what is that secret? The answer is your self-energy. You're being who you authentically are, and not some defender hiding you because those protectors are afraid for yourself to come out and shine. It's being yourself, being brave enough to be yourself. Courage is not bravado. It's recognizing you're scared and doing it anyway and going forward. And what does all this have to do with your marriage anyway? Here's the thing. Every single part of yourself that is actually coming from self-energy is going to help you in handling the trials that you're going through in your marriage. And what's more, the more you understand who you really are, the more you'll get that when you help your spouse to join this project of self, of learning about who they are as well as you, then you can start to finally have real conversations, because they're not one protector against another. Rather, they're your authentic selves. The first one I want to talk about in this video is creativity. When a person has been beaten down, there's no room for creativity. The very fact that you can be creative is a sign of self-energy. So how do you get that creativity? You need to make space for it. Take care of everything on your to-do list up to a point. Stop sometime. Make a point of making time that you call me time. Time for yourself. Okay, so how do you get that me time when somebody isn't letting you? Here's the thing. We talked about courage being the ability to not be stopped even though you're afraid. Make the time for yourself. Maybe it's after someone goes to work. Maybe you have to go hide in the bathroom. Maybe you have to go in the car and go grocery shopping and park for 10 extra minutes somewhere in a parking lot for me time. And then B. I was having a conversation just recently with someone I'd met very casually. She didn't know whether to bring her child home from college or not, but she decided to bring him home. She was even giving me many reasons why it was a great idea. And then I asked her, is that how you feel? Because she kept telling me that's what her husband felt. She said her husband couldn't function, knowing that her child was there in school, in college, and not actually happy. And I said, is that how you feel? And she stopped a minute and she said, no, actually, I would leave him there. I think it would be good for him to go forward in spite of the constraints on him. And I didn't say more. She answered my question. She felt differently than her husband. Does that mean she should argue with him? Does that mean she should do it her way and not his way? I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying that you need to know what you feel. And in order to do that, you need to stop and create a little circle of space around yourself and put all your sweet little protectors on the side and just figure out what you feel. Because when you do, then you can come up with creative solutions to problems. Now, I'm going to give you a list of interesting questions for your creativity. Who do you really want to be? How do you really want to handle conflict? What is the true you, independent of your protectors or your crying inner children that we started to introduce in the last video? What is it you want out of life? What is it you really want in your marriage? What is it you want from your partner that they have not yet given you? And how is it you want to present to them what you want? What would make you whole? These are all important questions. Having creativity will help get you the answers. Hey guys, like, comment, subscribe, get notifications, but please do something for yourself. Watch my webinar where I take a deep dive into what I consider to be the only and best method of healing old trauma and new trauma that's going on in your life today. Find out why it works and how it can help you. And maybe you'll even get a chance to speak to me one-on-one. Okay, now I'm going to talk about love, and we're going to start with self-love. Unless, of course, you have experienced feeling true love for someone else. However, key point here, true love for someone else cannot be needy love. True love is valuing and enjoying the presence of another person, not because of what they give you in the way of attention and love back and compliments, and a feeling, well, if they like me, I guess I must be special. No, true love is valuing them for who they are, for what they stand for their own values, for their own kindness, for everything about them that is about self. And love and value that. When you know what that feeling is, devoid of neediness, then you have the capability of loving and cherishing and valuing yourself. Most people don't have that. Most people are a far cry from that because of that protector that constantly tells them how wrong they are, how bad they are, the choices they made were a mistake, and chews them out endlessly. You must help those protectors themselves heal from the burdens that they carry for you on your behalf in order for them to lighten up on you. You never want to kick them out. All your protectors, including your critics, have a reason, and that reason will go down when your protectors start to trust the leadership that yourself has, separate from your parts, in order to handle life. Self-love can just begin with self-care. The more you take care of yourself, the more you're showing self-love, and also what you're showing is respect for the body and mind and soul that you were given. So for an example, self-care might mean simply getting a good night's sleep. It might mean eating 3 healthy meals a day. It might simply mean taking off time for you. Somebody I know said to me that she doesn't want to be able to make an appointment that she's a regular client that she might have to cancel at the last minute because she might have not slept the night before, since she'd be up doing X, Y, and Z, which is very important, of course, and therefore she might be so tired she shouldn't drive to get here. I said, look, you're not in self-energy if you're not giving yourself a night's sleep. And I respect your protectors that think you need to do X, Y, and Z to get jobs done that you feel and they feel need to get done. But that is not the reality. The reality begins with self-care, so as to feel that self-love that you have been missing. Next is gratitude. Gratitude is really hard for some people because they don't realize what they have to be grateful for when everything is crashing down around them. Here are some things people never think about. I can walk. Now, I feel grateful for that. At the very, very, very end of my husband's life, he couldn't go to the bathroom, and I had to find a bottle of, I don't remember, soda or something for him to pee in because he couldn't get to the bathroom. He couldn't walk. Something in his brain stopped those muscles and nerves from sending the signal back. He ended up in the hospital, and that was the end of that. Unfortunately, I'm grateful that I can walk. I'm grateful that I can talk. I'm grateful that I can hear and see. Okay, my eyes are not so good and I have to wear glasses. I have a pair for distance. I have a pair for the computer, which is like a distance that's not such a distance. I have reading glasses, but I can see. I'm grateful that I can think. I'm grateful that with a good cup of coffee, I can think even more clearly, and a good night's sleep. There's a lot we can be grateful for that's basic. I had surgery and my left arm doesn't work very well. It works, but it hurts. I'm grateful that my right arm works. I'm grateful it's not my legs because I want to be able to walk. I'm grateful that the doctors say I'll overcome this eventually. We can be grateful for something, no matter how bad things are. And it isn't easy. We keep focusing on what doesn't work. We keep focusing on the negative. But I'm telling you right now, that will not get you through life. If you want to get through life, look outside at the sunshine and be grateful for the sunshine. Go into the country at night and look at the stars in the sky and be grateful that you can see them and that they're there, lighting up the sky. Breathe in nature. Feel grateful for nature itself. There's a whole lot we can be grateful for. I challenge you to get out a notebook. Here's mine. Get out a notebook and write down 100 things you're grateful for. 100 things about yourself, your skills, your abilities, life itself, the people in your life. And now, get this. Be grateful for the tragedies and calamities that led you to a good place. So here's my story. Way back in, by COVID, 2020, I had this weird thing. I had like a thing with my mouth where everything was painful and I couldn't eat. And 10 different doctors had no idea what it was. We finally got a diagnosis from somebody who was a professor at one of the dental schools, and it was called OLP, oral lichen planus, and whatever. And I was treated for it. In the meantime, before the 10th doctor who discovered what it was came along, I was in agony. I couldn't eat. I lost tons of weight. And I ended up going to the doctor that I was seeing, my regular doctor, who at that time I wanted a prescription for some pain relief, and somebody suggested something, I don't even remember what it was, that might work for me. And she wouldn't give me a prescription. She had to put it in the mail, which would take 2 days for me to get it. And I couldn't stand the pain. 2 days was too much. And I said, this is crazy. Why wouldn't she see me and hand me the prescription? Because that would mean that I would have to come in, and she was afraid of getting COVID. She was afraid. She's a doctor. Afraid of getting COVID. I couldn't just put it down on the table and she would pick it up because we'd be in the same room and she'd be breathing my air. Well, I left that doctor, right? I didn't want that doctor. I got the prescription from someone else. I found a new doctor. The new doctor I found, see, the first one was a woman because I thought I wanted a woman. Baloney. The new doctor I found was not a new doctor at all. This man had been my husband's doctor, and he was kind. I didn't know if he was smart or good, but I knew he was kind because one day my husband, who at the end of his life was doing pretty terribly, was waiting for Accessoride to pick him up. I could not make it myself, and they never came. And finally he walks in the door and I say, well, how did you get home? He said, the doctor drove me. I'm like, oh, this is a good man. So I went to that doctor and he gives me the normal checkup, and he said, listen, you have a little murmur in your heart. I think it's benign. I said, yeah, it's benign. Don't worry about it. He said, yeah, I know, but I want you to go to the cardiologist just in case. Maybe we're missing something. Now, mind you, this is a new doctor. He's checking me up. He wants to cover all his bases. I humor him, and the cardiologist does all the regular tests, and on a CT scan he says, there's a little funny shadow in your lungs. Now, this was not part of what he was looking for, but there was the picture, there's this shadow. So it turns out I go to the pulmonologist and he watches this for a couple of years, and he says to me one day, that's growing. I think you should check it out. I'm like, ooh, okay. I go check it out. Long story short, I had lung cancer. Never smoked. No one smoked in my family, ever. Never lived with smokers, but I had lung cancer. And I said to myself, besides telling the new doctor, which wasn't new anymore, you saved my life, because he sent me to get the cardiologist to look at me more thoroughly, and that's where they saw this. I said to myself, if it wasn't for the first doctor who refused to hand me a prescription, I wouldn't have changed doctors. So I was grateful for the change of doctors and the sickness that led to it. The pain was excruciating. Had it not been excruciating, I wouldn't have asked for a pain prescription. So between COVID and her fear and the change of doctors, I discovered that I had cancer, which came out, and I'm cancer-free, according to the new doctor, the surgeon who took it out. This is how things sometimes work out. The things that look bad are good. It's not merely that they have a silver lining, they are the silver lining. In fact, they are silver. Not just a lining, the whole thing is silver. It's good because it ended up good. And sometimes we can't see that. So I challenge you to get a notebook and write down 100 things you're grateful for, including the things that look bad. For example, a bad marriage, a marriage that looks bad. You are here watching this so as to heal and fix it. What have you learned? What did you learn so far from this video and from each of the preceding 5 videos? What did you learn from the other videos on this channel, from the lives, from asking questions of me during the live that I could answer in real time? What did you learn that could help you and have already helped you with your marriage? See? Now you might say, but wouldn't it have been better if I didn't have a bad marriage in the first place? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. A lot of people have said that because of the trials they have suffered and the challenges, they grew in ways they never would have grown. They have more feeling of connection to life, more depth of understanding of what it means to be human, more of a sense of appreciation to just be alive and for every day that passes. Who knows? I'm not going to judge that. It's for you to do. Think about that.